I was already sweating in my suit by the time I stepped into the lobby of the Hyatt. My palms were damp from gripping the folder. 6 months of work that saved Riverton millions. I had diagrams, analysis, rollout plans, everything. Raneta stood in front of the ballroom doors like a bouncer at some exclusive club. She saw me, raised her chin, and didn't even smile. "The room's at capacity," she said flatly. I stared at her. "What?" She nodded toward the glass doors behind her. Through them, I could see the chandelier light spilling across white tablecloths. Waiters moved around like shadows, pouring wine. Every exec had a seat. Hell, even Eli, our intern, was lounging back like he ran the damn company, sipping red wine with a name tag that said Strategic Advisor. He was 22, couldn't even spell logistics 3 months ago. "You're just logistics support," Renata added, arms crossed. There wasn't space. I scanned the room again. Even junior schedulers were seated, people I'd trained. I caught eyes with Leo, one of the analysts. His expression dropped when he realized I wasn't coming in. He looked away. "Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from." I almost laughed. "At capacity, huh?" There were empty chairs near the back wall, stacked, unused. My jaw locked, my hands clenched around the folder. Eli saw me through the glass, raised his wine like a toast. I could feel the blood rush to my ears. This wasn't just a snub, it was a message. I wasn't supposed to be seen. I was supposed to keep fixing things behind the curtain while the Golden Boys collected applause. I nodded slowly. "Got it." I stepped to the side, unzipped my laptop bag, and pulled it open right there on a side table. I didn't bother with a chair. The email had been sitting in drafts since June. Addressed to the full executive team with attachments, time-stamped models, Slack transcripts, PowerPoint originals, everything they'd claimed credit for. I hit send. "Check your inbox," I said to Ranata, snapping the laptop shut. Then I turned and walked out. Phones started pinging behind me, soft dings and buzzes that built like a swarm of flies. Someone inside said, "Wait, what's this?" Another voice, "Hold up. Who sent this?" I didn't turn around. I walked right through the hotel's double doors, out into the night. The city humming like it knew something big had just cracked open. I've been underestimated long enough. I didn't always walk out of rooms. When I first joined Riverton Freight Solutions 3 years earlier, I was the guy who came early, stayed late, and believed hard work would actually get noticed. I'd just wrapped a dual MBA and Master's in Data Analytics from Ohio State. Grew up in Lima, small town, middle of nowhere. My parents ran a local repair shop. My mom used to say, "You work clean, you work quiet, and let the results talk." So that's what I did. Year 1 was killer. I built a freight routing system that cut down idle truck time by 39%. It tracked weather, traffic, fuel prices, all of it, and auto-adjusted routes in real time. The VP, Vincent, came by my desk after a board meeting and called me a quiet genius. I smiled, said thanks, and went back to work. I didn't need spotlights. Then Dominic showed up. New head of operations. First week, he parked his Porsche across 2 spaces, wore cufflinks to a freight company, talked like a TED Talk on repeat, called me data guy every time he forgot my name, which was always. He invited me to sit in on a strategy meeting, said he wanted to show off what we'd built. After the meeting, I followed him out. "Hey," I said, catching up near the elevators. "That presentation, you didn't even mention I built it." He looked at me like I was a kid asking to borrow the car. "You helped clean up my concept," he said. I blinked. "I wrote every line. I built the models." "What concept?" He smirked, then clapped me on the shoulder. "You'll go far here if you learn how this works." I didn't have a response. I just stood there while the elevator doors shut between us. The next day, I went to HR, told them everything. The woman behind the desk clicked her pen, barely looked up. "If it was built on company time, it's company property," she said. "And he's your direct manager." So that was it. I shut up, but I didn't forget. I started documenting everything. Saved email threads, project drafts, file timestamps, even the original whiteboard sketches from late nights in the office. I stopped sharing ideas in meetings, kept prototypes local, No more Google Drive, no more shared Slack channels. If I had a thought, it went in a notebook I kept in my desk drawer, locked. Over the next 18 months, the pattern got clearer. I'd float a concept in a team huddle. Dominic would nod like he wasn't listening. 2 weeks later, I'd hear him pitching it upstairs like it was divine inspiration. Didn't even bother changing the examples. When I brought it up again, calmly in private, he just laughed. "You're young. Let the credit come to you later," he said. This is how organizations work. Number. This was how he worked. It wasn't just me, either. I started noticing other analysts getting quiet. Meredith from Sales Ops had her whole forecasting model rebranded and rerouted through Dominic. Leo in accounts stopped going to meetings altogether, said he was done offering free gold. Ideas went up the ladder, but credit didn't trickle down. And if you complained, you were told to be a team player, play the game. I kept my head down, kept building. But I also started asking questions, quiet ones, to the right people. The system they loved so much was a black box to them, but not to me. They thought I'd stay buried in the basement of logistics forever. They had no idea what I was already planning. 6 months ago, I stopped waiting for direction. I started going full tilt on something I believed in, freight hub optimization. The idea came during a supply chain bottleneck last winter, when a single reroute in Indiana shaved hours off delivery time. I thought, what if the system could think like that all the time? Weekends, late nights, I built the model. No templates, no borrowed code. It was mine, raw, scalable, beautiful. I ran simulations nonstop. Fuel costs dropped 28%, delivery speed up by 40% across regions. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was next gen. When I finished, I polished every detail into a deck. 22 slides, real-world projections, phased rollout plan, competitor comparison. This was my shot. The quarterly strategy meeting was scheduled for Thursday. I showed up early, suit pressed, thumb drive in my pocket. I was reviewing notes when Dominic walked in and clapped a hand on my back like we were old war buddies. "Give me your slides," he said casually. I turned, confused. "I was planning to present it myself." He waved that off. "Timing's tight. I'll slot it in real quick." I hesitated. He saw it. "We're a team, right?" he added with a grin. I should have said no. I didn't. I handed him the drive. He loaded it up during the meeting, skipped half the context, and flew through my entire presentation in under 2 minutes. No walkthrough, no story. No explanation of the math behind the model, just buzzwords. The execs blinked at him like he was speaking Greek. "We'll circle back on this," someone said. They didn't. It got shelved, no follow-ups, no notes, just dead silence. 3 weeks later, I was on my lunch break scrolling through company emails when a headline caught my eye. Exciting new freight framework, presented by Eli Sutherland. The intern, the CEO's nephew. Kid couldn't find Wyoming on a map. I clicked the deck. It was my model. Dumbed down, recolored, renamed Fast Route Initiative. The math was weaker, the flow clunkier, but the backbone, that was mine. Line for line, they just stripped out the complexity and slapped on a shiny wrapper. That afternoon, Eli presented it to the board. I wasn't invited. I found out later it got greenlit, full funding, executive support. They gave him a contract, a department title, and his own reserved parking spot next to Dominic. Me? I didn't even get a reply. I confronted Dominic the next day, cornered him near the elevators. "You knew that was my work." He barely looked up from his phone. His version landed. Yours didn't. That's how this works. You stole it. You knew what it was. He finally looked at me. "You're too focused on being right." He's focused on being liked. Guess which one wins? I walked away before I said something career-ending. Not that it mattered. My career there was already dead. That night, I sat in my apartment, lights off. Just the hum of the fridge and my laptop screen burning into my eyes. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just sat there watching the cursor blink in a blank document. Not because I didn't know what to do, because I finally did. No more meetings, no more fake teamwork. No more pretending I couldn't see what was right in front of me. I opened a new folder and typed the name Exit Plan. I rebuilt everything from scratch. Same core idea, but smarter, cleaner, faster. The original model had been solid, but this time, I stripped it down to the studs and rebuilt with sharper code, deeper logic trees, and zero company fingerprints. No office Wi-Fi, no company laptop, nothing that could tie it back to Riverton. I used my own gear, kept everything on encrypted drives, worked in cafes, parking lots, even the back seat of my car when I had to. I didn't trust a single outlet in that office. Once the prototype stabilized, I started reaching out. Quietly, Meredith was first. She'd left sales ops last year after Dominic buried her forecasting engine and handed credit to some buddy from corporate. We met for coffee. I showed her the model. She leaned back and whispered, "You really did it." Next was Leo. He left accounts after a public takedown in a budget review that was rigged from the start. He didn't even let me finish the pitch, just said, "I'm in." Then Tamsin, R&D. She used to build our test scenarios before her entire department got reorganized. She pulled out her tablet and showed me the spreadsheet of improvements she'd been quietly tracking since leaving. It clicked instantly. We weren't just burned-out employees. We were a brain trust, scattered and pissed off, with a shared grudge and a mountain of ideas that never saw daylight. By week 3, we had 7 people total. Every one of us had watched our work get stolen, watered down, or shelved. We weren't running from something. We were building something that couldn't be hijacked. I called Gail Iverson on a Friday. She was a known hard ass in the venture world. Backed only 1 or 2 companies a year, always on her own terms. But if you landed her, you didn't need anyone else. We met in a shared workspace downtown. She was cold at first, didn't even open her notebook. "Why you?" she asked. "What makes this different from the last 10 freight startups I turned down?" I opened my laptop and didn't say a word, just showed her the model, the clean routing engine, the optimized fuel logic, the predictive delay forecasts, all running live. Then I flipped the screen to show the team, Meredith, Leo, Tamsin, the others on Zoom. She raised an eyebrow. "I've been watching half these people for years," she said. "Never thought they'd jump ship." "They didn't jump," I said. "They got pushed. I'm just giving them a place to land." She closed her notebook. "How fast can you move?" 2 weeks. She stood. "Then you better move." Funding landed 12 days later. We didn't waste a second, filed the LLC, signed the lease on a beat-up old auto shop just outside Columbus, stripped it down, set up used desks, rolling whiteboards, one single Keurig that wheezed like it was dying, but it was ours. We filed provisional patents right away. No mistakes this time. I hired a lawyer I trusted, old friend from grad school who knew how to bulletproof an IP claim. I didn't care what it cost. We started meeting with clients under a holding name, Ash River Analytics. No branding, no fluff, just results. 5 clients hinted quietly they'd jump ship once we launched. Real companies, major retailers, one shipping giant, a regional grocer. They didn't want fluff anymore. They wanted what worked. We locked down handshake deals, started building demos tailored to each one. But everything depended on timing. The wrong leak, the wrong whisper, the wrong LinkedIn post. And Riverton would bury us before we left the ground. So we stayed low. No names, no launch date, no public moves. Until we were ready to detonate. Renata stood in the same damn spot, like nothing had changed. She saw me and didn't even fake a smile. I looked her right in the eye and nodded once. "Cool." I stepped aside, pulled out my laptop like I was just checking a calendar. No rush, no ceremony, hit send. The email hit everyone. Board, legal, HR, clients. The full press list. A clean break. Sealed, documented, irreversible. I closed the laptop, tucked it back into my bag, and walked out slow. By the time I hit the elevator, my phone was buzzing. Dominic first. 3 calls, no voicemail, then HR. Then an email from the CEO's office. Subject line, URGENT, call me. I stepped into the parking garage just as the notifications started piling up like a slot machine jackpot. Then I heard footsteps, fast ones. Vincent's voice echoed off the concrete before I even saw him. Wait, I turned. He was red-faced, sweat soaking through his collar, folder in hand. Looked like he'd just sprinted down the building. "You can't just leave like this?" he panted. "Didn't give me a chair," I said. "Didn't think I needed the company." He blinked, like that hadn't occurred to him. "We didn't realize if you were unhappy." I cut him off. "You were copying me on the damn emails." He held up the folder. "Not how this works," I said. "Clients are already moving." Press release goes live in 10. He switched tones fast. "You realize this might be a legal issue? IP ownership, non-compete violations?" "Nope." I shook my head. "Loophole in the IP clause. Covered. Non-compete only kicks in if I sell to direct competitors, which I haven't. Yet." He opened the folder, scanning papers like he thought he could stall me with paperwork. "I didn't blindside you," I said. "You just weren't looking." His face drained. The folder dipped in his hand. I stepped backward toward my car. "Best thing you could do now?" I added. "Get out of my way." I got in, fired up the engine, and pulled out while he stood there blinking under flickering garage lights. I didn't check my phone again. Didn't care what was blowing up now. The company I'd built, real team, real product, real value, it was finally breathing. The garage smelled like oil and dust, even after we scrubbed it twice. The walls still had faded outlines from car posters someone tore down years ago. It was ugly, cold, perfect. I got there just before 7. Meredith was already inside, boots kicked up on a crate. Tamsin rolled in with donuts and no sleep. Leo held the first mug of whatever the hell our Keurig was trying to pass off as coffee. We didn't need much: 7 laptops, 4 whiteboards, 2 space heaters, 1 vending machine that only took coins and jammed every third time, and a conference table built from 2 wood pallets and a door we found on Craigslist. By 7:45, the team was in place. No suits, no ties, just people who'd been stepped on long enough and were finally ready to push back. "Emails go out in 10, I said. "Anyone nervous?" Tamsin grinned. "Only for them." At exactly 8 a.m., I hit send on the launch batch. Clients, media, investor partners, and a few strategically placed industry contacts. Then Leo pushed the press release live. Cargologic announces, "Launch, a new era of freight intelligence." 8:05, silence. 8:10, 1 ping, then 2 more, then 12. By 9 a.m., 3 trade sites had us on their homepage. Freight Week called it an industry-level shakeup led by a team of unsung experts. Supply Chain Bulletin ran a headline. "The engineers just took the wheel." By 10, Riverton stock was slipping, 2%, then 4. At 10:30, the CEO held a surprise press conference. I watched it on mute while Tamsin annotated a client demo. He tried to play it cool, said he wished us well, that he supported all forms of innovation. Then he said Dominic had stepped down to pursue other opportunities. I snorted. Meredith threw a pen at the screen. "Too late," I said. That afternoon, the real flood started. Our inbox filled with direct client inquiries, asking for meetings, pricing, pilot programs. Every one of the 5 handshake deals confirmed. Then 3 more from companies we hadn't even approached yet. Former coworkers started sending in resumes, not just analysts, middle managers, R&D leads, even 2 legal advisors. Subject lines like "ready to jump" and "long time coming." Leo started triaging the emails by category. "New clients," he muttered. "Old regrets. Legal threats. And this one." He turned the screen toward me. An email from Ren, the intern who sat beside Eli every week, nodding along while he presented my stolen work. Subject line, "Can we talk?" I opened it without thinking. "I didn't know. I thought he was helping you. I'm sorry if I was part of it. I didn't mean to be." I stared at the screen. Then I closed the tab. Didn't reply, didn't delete it either. Just let it sit there, unopened again. We weren't done yet. We still had demos to run, contracts to write, firewalls to patch. But we had what we needed now: clients, capital, control. And for the first time in years, nobody could shut the door on us. 3 months in, our break room still smelled like motor oil and burnt coffee. But we had 27 clients and counting, real contracts, real results. We weren't just beating our own forecasts, we were blowing past them. Tamsin said it first. This isn't a startup anymore. This is a storm. By month 6, Riverton's name was bleeding in every financial report, 43% down in the market. No innovation, no strategy, no leadership. They put out a half-hearted statement calling it a strategic pivot. No one believed it. Then one morning, Vincent showed up at our office. No call, no heads up. Just walked in like it was still his turf. Same cheap cologne, same folder tucked under his arm. Meredith was mid-demo when he stepped through the front door. I met him by the whiteboard. His eyes scanned the room. Our team, our gear, our vibe. You could tell it made him uncomfortable. "I'm here on behalf of the board," he said. "Didn't think they knew where we were," I said. He smiled like he still had leverage. "They'd like to make an offer. Full acquisition, buyout. We're talking real numbers." I took the folder, flipped through it. It was a real number, enough to buy 10 of these garages and furnish them in gold. I closed it. Not interested. "The board wants you back," he said, "as Chief Innovation Officer. Your own team, full budget, total freedom." I raised an eyebrow. "You sure they want the guy they didn't give a chair to?" He held his ground. "Things have changed. They see the mistake now." I nodded once. "I appreciate that. Then let's talk about what it would take." "No." I handed the folder back. "I'm not interested in tables where seats have to be begged for." He hesitated. "We're offering legacy. I'm building impact." He stood there a second too long, like maybe he thought I'd flinch. I didn't. I walked him out myself. As soon as the door shut behind him, Tamsin looked up. "Was that who I think it was?" "Yeah," I said, "and we're going to need a bigger whiteboard." That afternoon, we finalized our international expansion announcement. 3 new clients in Europe, 1 in Asia. We'd been quiet about it, waiting to make the move after the US numbers proved out. Now they had. The press ate it up. The next week, I got an email from the Logistics World Summit. Keynote slot. Main stage. They wanted me to speak about disruption, strategy, and innovation in freight tech. Meredith leaned over my shoulder when she saw it. "You gonna say yes?" I smiled. "Damn right I am." The lights hit hard when I stepped on stage. Big hall, packed room, cameras rolling, murmurs dying down. Front row, dead center, Vincent. Off to the side, I caught a glimpse of Ranata. A few seats over, Eli, flipping a pen in his hand like he wished he were anywhere else. I walked to the mic. No notes, no slides, just me. "You can wait outside." A few heads turned. Some smirked. 2 people in the front row stopped breathing. "That's what I was told at a company dinner," I said. While my work was being celebrated, without me, I stood there, holding the folder that carried 6 months of data, models, results. They told me the room was full. No one coughed, no one shifted, just a low wave of stillness spreading through the room. That moment changed everything. Not because it hurt, but because it cleared the noise, because it made things real. I looked out at the crowd, executives, analysts, founders, a sea of titles that once would have shut me down before I spoke. I'm not here to name names. Doesn't matter. What matters is this. When innovation gets buried under office politics, when credit becomes a currency and silence is survival, you lose the people who actually build things. A few nods. One woman up front mouthed, "Yes." I was never trying to be loud. I was trying to solve problems. But the louder ones kept winning, and eventually, I realized something. I paused, let it hang. You don't need someone to give you a seat. Build your own damn table, and make sure it has room for the right people. Silence again, then clapping. It started slow, scattered, but it rolled fast, strong, full, real. I nodded once, stepped away from the mic, and walked off stage without looking back. Outside, the air felt different, lighter. I checked my phone. 2 new client requests, 3 investor meetings confirmed, and 1 message from an old coworker. Subject line, "Got any open roles?" I smiled. Maybe I did.